We can't let black love die. Let's be honest. In the black community, especially between black women and men, there's been a divide, a divergence, some type of something, a force, or you see it in jokes amongst other races, in our music and hip hop culture. Wherever you go, you often see black men and women at odds when we should be loving each other and taking care of one another. But I've also realized that the only way we're going to be able to fix this situation between black men and women is to stop pointing fingers at each other like one is the scum of the earth, and actually look in the mirror, see each other's faults for ourselves, and then start working on ourselves in order to help each other out, because we're all we got. But with this being the case, we first have to understand that both of us, black men, I'm speaking for all of us, and black women have made mistakes. We have our faults, and both sides need to heal. Now, I'm going to start with my black men. Too many of my brothers have seen what it's like living without love in the home. And let me rephrase that. They have seen toxic love, but they haven't seen real, true, genuine love out of the kindness of somebody's heart. They haven't seen that example, which should have been set by their father. And the reality is, majority of our fathers ultimately failed in showing us that. We got to keep it a buck. We just simply weren't taught and didn't see how to properly communicate with a woman as our equal and as somebody who we love and will love us back. We didn't see that. Most of us didn't see that example. And a lot of us who may have seen that example weren't taught exactly the steps in order to emulate that. And that leads to a disconnect, a divide, that leads to mistranslation, and ultimately to destruction. And because of that, it's caused black men especially to love bomb, to throw constant pieces of affection through monetary, through money, through gifts, just love bombing, being too much, and ultimately causing a problem and coming off as disingenuous. We were taught how to spend money in order to flex, to look good in front of people, but we weren't taught how to actually save that money, keep it within our community, and help the next generation become just as successful, if not more successful than us, like in other communities. We were told to man up instead of open up and talk about our insecurities and our shortcomings and our downfalls, which ultimately led us to try to look like we're roughnecks when we're just human beings. We have become unable to be vulnerable with even the people we've loved, and we have been unable to properly communicate without lashing out and getting somebody hurt mentally or physically into the most extreme means. And some men, some of my black men, and all men, don't get me wrong, this is an all man problem, but for black men, I want to see us doing better. And a big reason why we don't do better is we see leadership as control. We want submission from our black women, but we don't take the responsibility that comes with that. We can't have our cake and eat it too. If we're telling our black women, this is what you need to do, this is how we're going to succeed, then that means you have to take responsibility. If you want her at home all day, then you gotta work all day, every day, to make sure she can stay at home. And if you want to have her work, then you got to communicate, let her know, and see if that agreement is going to end up being the way you want it to be. But you can't have leadership and control like she's your drone or robot. We demand loyalty, and yet oftentimes a lot of us end up getting caught cheating with multiple women or one woman. Yet we are so pertinent and persistent on asking loyalty when we can't even grant it ourselves. We are often caught lying, cheating, and chasing validation. And the entire problem with all of these traits that we have been showing that have been glamorized by the media, which we don't control, by the way, that has caused us to try to raise family with our ego. And that's a big problem. You can't raise a family or build strong families, successful families that generations and generations later are still wealthy, are popular, or successful. You can't do that off of an ego, whether we think our poop doesn't stink or not. But this is not all on the men's fault. We have to look at our sisters too, because they be tripping sometimes. Some sisters have been hurt so many times that they built walls that nobody can reach, creating standards and expectations that the men who match those standards usually have problems themselves. Independence ends up becoming protection and justification from blame and vulnerability. And unfortunately, as a big stereotype that the media likes to push, especially the lineage of evil, is that a lot of our black women have a lot of trauma from abuse. You look at single mothers doing everything they can for their child or children, a lot of the times alone, trying to be the mom and the dad, even when that was not their purpose. Partners, men just walking away, even the LGBTQ community women or men walking away from their parental responsibilities. Men always failing to come through, making a situation fractured, damaged, and continuing generational curses that shouldn't even be a thing in the first place. But this is what the lineage of evil in modern media wants. They want to keep us divided. They want everybody divided. Social media is the main ones rewarding the city girls and the players, and they reward all of that. They show you how glitzy and glamorous all of that is, and how it looks like it's such a fun time, and you have all the freedom in the same world that makes you pay for water. But all this does, what the media doesn't tell you is that it's all just frivolous. It's no point to it. You're just flashing expenses and money and fame and having meaningless sex, spreading diseases, lies, and confusion amongst everybody, keeping everybody as sheep, being controlled. And worst of all, it turns love into a transactional thing that involves one party doing this and one party doing that. Doesn't that sound robotic? Doesn't that sound like a machine? Exactly, because they want you to be a robot that just does what they want and subservient. This is the biggest thing of all, really. This transactional mindset only makes men think this woman only wants me for my money, or this man only wants me for my canned goods, my goodies. This is where the red pill and the Kevin Samuels and the Fresh and Fit, this is where they all come from. Because this transactional mindset that social media has pushed on to Black people and all people really has caused a major problem. It exacerbates all of these materialistic, just ungodly things that we really shouldn't be doing and shouldn't be seeing. And the real issue, as I've shown to you, isn't just about dating. It's a generational thing for hundreds of years. Our families were torn apart. Our people were abused, broken, humiliated. Families split because the patriarch was abused in front of his family. That type of scarring, even across generations, passes on to descendants. You think we've healed? We're still talking about racism and slavery. You think that we've healed? That the world has just healed? And because of all that confusion worked in the lineage of evil's favor. It made women question if Black men could protect them. And then that perverted them into believing that Black men just want to control them. And that made women have to feel like they had to be strong and protect themselves instead of letting their men protect them. Why do you think that a lot of Black women are always perceived as loud and combative and all of that? It's because they have to defend themselves, because they know half of the Black men in the world aren't gonna try and do it, because they're gonna bend a knee to somebody else. And on both sides, we refuse and just can't seem to get that we have been trained, groomed, and have been learning for hundreds of years, for generations, to misinterpret each other's needs to this day. So how are we going to fix this? Well, first of all, it starts with taking accountability and understanding both sides through honest communication. For the healing, guys gotta stop going out and dating and just being carnal. We can't be in relationships or having friends with benefits or constantly sleeping with a bunch of women. We need to actually heal. All of that, sleeping with people and all of that is simply a distraction. It's to distract you from the pain that you feel. I would know because I have experience with that. But as a Black man, I understand my situation in the world, how people perceive me. And the only way I'm going to gain respect is if I have a sound mind, and then a sound body, and sound character. So we can't be just in a relationship and rebound into another relationship and then another. No, we gotta heal. You can't lead anybody if you haven't learned how to lead yourself. You need to lead who you are. Be a leader, not a follower. Be strong, be yourself. Don't follow what everybody else thinks is the best thing. Be you. That's what everybody everywhere always says. Be you, because nobody is you. If you feel like you're a nerd, look at my posters. I am a nerd. And I fully take accountability, and I fully understand that that's who I am. Am I going to change that simply because women aren't perceived to like nerds? No, because that would be corny. Masculinity has nothing to do with dominating, with taking over, with destruction and violence. It's none of that. And if anybody taught you that, they don't know it either. It's about direction, knowing what you need to do in order to be successful. It's about protecting your family and those you care about. And ultimately, it's about having a purpose, being purposeful, having goals and setting them and then achieving them. That's what masculinity is about. It's not about that. It's about having a purpose and getting to your purpose, which a lot of y'all guys don't have, unfortunately. For my women, it must be forgiveness. We have to heal and forgive. Not forget. Never forget that you were wrong, but forgive and heal and move past the trauma. I know that sounds easy, but I have Black women in my family, plenty, and that's the only way you're going to get through any problem. Every man is not your ex, and every brother is not a project, and they're not a paymaster or a paycheck. And every man isn't going to just cheat on you with 10 different women. If you want a man to lead you, if you want a man to pay for you, if you want a man to do this, that, let them do it sometimes. But remember that it's a partnership. God made us men as the leaders, yes, but he made women as our equal and our partner, which means that you're not lesser, you're just our partner. So never ever just let somebody steamroll over you. It's a joint effort. And femininity does not mean you have to accept oppression and you should accept people running all over you. Absolutely not. And for the men who say that that's exactly what it is, or profess to proclaim that that's kind of what it entails, shame on them. Because that's not what it means. Having strength with grace while also being able to be respected. Communication is ultimately the biggest key. So this is the reason why they say the divorce rate is so high. Why they say this, that, and the third is so crazy and out of proportions. It's because of communication. Okay, Black people don't like to talk about their issues because they think they'll be judged. But who cares? Be judged. Jesus was judged, condemned, and murdered. Our ancestors were judged, beat, abused, violated. They were still freed. Even if we're still dealing with oppression today, we still have plenty of examples of people showing us that when you don't just lay down and just take anything, you actually get somewhere. And the only way we're going to do that as a community is if we communicate. We cannot read minds. Nobody on this planet can read minds. So we got to talk amongst each other positively, constructively, not arguing. And I have my own issue where I'll just shut down. And a lot of Black men shut down when they feel nobody's listening to me. Whenever I say something, it's always wrong or it's always the bad thing. Then we shut down. Instead of actually taking the time to accept it, think about it. You may even disagree with a lot of it, but just try to heed it anyway. I've been learning to do that, and it ultimately leads to more positive outcomes for me. But that's just me. But it could help somebody who's watching this. And for my Black women, stop assuming that guys just know what's going on or assume that he has had training, because a lot of Black men have not had training on how to talk or handle women. Period. They had no training from their dad, and their mom is too busy with taking care of everything to be worried about giving a guy proper advice on how to deal with a woman. So these guys, most of the time, they aren't coming with just super great knowledge or experience, or they have biases that they have that may not agree with your thoughts. But that doesn't mean he knows everything or that he knows nothing. It's a partnership. Y'all got to communicate so y'all can understand each other. And ultimately, we have to realize we got to choose better. We can't keep choosing a guy because he's super rich and he has all the fame and all the money. We got to stop doing that, because that's being transactional. We got to stop calling toxicity chemistry and the standard. Oftentimes, we find ourselves just uplifting toxicity like it's love goals and the standard, when really a lot of the examples we see in the media of Black love often are toxic. But aside from all of the problems, ultimately, I've told you that communication, understanding, hearing each other out, honesty, and refraining from dealing with materialistic or toxic things and people, focusing on yourself and healing is the true key. And at the end of the day, the goal of Black people should be unity. It's what's helped us in every single facet of our existence. For every single horrible experience we've had, just like our greatest experience, it was always when we were working together. We always found a way to do better, because Black men and Black women are in sync. We understand each other better than any race will ever be able to understand us. We have experiences that no other race can 100% understand, that they'll never be able to correlate with. And that's not a good or a bad thing. It's just we were made for each other. So why don't we defend, protect, and love each other? Once we actually start trying to connect our dots with each other, our families will go stronger, they'll become richer, we'll keep more money in the community, communities will heal faster, the guns will be thrown away, children will grow up seeing the balance of actual healthy relationship and what respecting your partner and respecting others actually looks like. We need to solve our own problems our way and not worry about somebody else's judgment on how we do things. Black love has never ever been perfect, but it's powerful. It withstands struggle, trials, tribulations, and it still shines even throughout the best and worst days. So to every Black brother coming from your little brother or older brother, I'm 21. Don't love her because she just looks or sounds good. Love her because That's another black woman. Just like the black woman who raised you and believed that you could be a difference in the world. That still love you and will love you to the day they die. And after that, protect that black woman. So she not only does the same for you, but so that you can create a family with her and continue love for as long as this earth remains. Be her peace. Don't agitate her. Communicate and figure out how to solve the problem she has. Because she deserves to be happy, healthy, and lay back knowing that she can rely on her man. And for all of my black sisters, believe in us black men again, please. Not because we have no flaws, not because we look good, not because we got all this money, not because we're moving up in the world. Love us because all of our ancestors kept faith in us. And now in these uncertain, unfortunate times, we need you to have faith in us again. Black love ultimately doesn't even really need saving. It needs us to look past the pain, look past the judgment, look past the problems, and choose connection and faith. That's what God always said. Instead of looking at the dysfunction, have faith. You could be going through the worst thing with a partner or the worst thing with somebody else. Keep faith. Because faith is all we got. That's all we're entitled to in this life. Our body, our decisions, and faith. Once we start building together, that is when we will truly win. This is Dylan Square, signing off.